A healthy boundary isn't barbed wire, it's blueprint. It tells the world, this is where I end and you begin. But look, here's a beautiful door. You're welcome to knock. Hi, loves. Welcome back, or just welcome, to Amy's View Unscripted. I'm Amy, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're new here, Fridays we review life in motion. This series is all about what it really means to be alive. Not just exist, not just hustle through the day, but to live consciously, intentionally, and connected. Around here, we talk about everything that makes life worth feeling: self-love, relationships, health, the planet, and how all of those are actually part of the same ecosystem. Let's be honest for a second. Most of us are walking heads attached to glorified transportation devices we call bodies. We treat them like Uber drivers. Take me to work. Take me to Target. Take me to my next existential crisis. 5-star service, minimal eye contact. We think we're living, but really we're spectating, watching our own lives like a Netflix original where the buffering never stops. And look, I get it. The world doesn't exactly hand out awards for embodiment. Nobody ever got a raise for feeling their feelings efficiently. But here's the catch. The body keeps the score. And yes, that's more than a best-selling book title. It's a lifestyle audit we didn't sign up for. We've become experts at ghosting ourselves. We'll ghost a text in 10 seconds flat, but we've been ghosting our own bodies for decades. Ignoring the tight shoulders, the racing heart, the gut feeling that something is off. We scroll past our own warning signs like they're a sponsored ad for a product we'll never buy. Last week, we talked about how mental health and physical health are not two separate categories. They're just health. Full stop. And everyone nodded because it makes sense, right? Mind and body is teamwork makes the dream work. Not a cliche, just facts. But here's the kicker. Understanding that truth doesn't mean that we're living it. Knowing the mind and body are connected are like owning an expensive treadmill. Technically impressive, but useless if you never actually get on it. So today, we're getting on it, figuratively. We're talking about embodiment, the radical, inconvenient, life-changing act of actually living inside your body instead of narrating it from the outside. Let's talk about how we got here, because spoiler alert, it's not all our fault. From the time we're little, the world teaches us to trust logic over instinct, to sit still, ignore hunger, hide tears, push through pain, and smile for pictures even when our stomachs are in knots. We're literally trained out of presence, conditioned to believe the body is something to manage, not inhabit. Somewhere between the diet ads, the productivity culture, and the just be positive posters taped to break room walls. If you've read my book, you should know how much I don't believe in toxic positivity, but more on that later. We turned embodiment into an extracurricular activity, something we'll do once things calm down. Newsflash, they never do. We don't rest when we're tired. We negotiate with exhaustion like it's a toddler on a sugar high. We don't cry when we're sad. We wait until the movie gives us permission. And we don't say no when we mean no. We say, sure, I can make that work. And then wonder why we're resentful and anxious. That's disembodiment. It's the quiet epidemic behind burnout, perfectionism, overthinking, and that weird tension headache that always shows up the minute you try to relax. We've gotten so good at pretending that we're fine, our bodies have started sending escalation emails. You ignore a whisper, hey, maybe slow down. And the next thing you know, your back goes out in the middle of Costco. You skip lunch for the third time this week, and suddenly you're crying over a sandwich like it's a tragic love story. The body is patient, but it's also persistent. When it doesn't get attention, it will raise its voice. Pain, fatigue, irritability, these aren't malfunctions, they're messages. And somewhere deep down, we know that. We literally joke about listening to our bodies, but when it actually speaks, we're like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm in a meeting. So, what is embodiment really? It's not all yoga pants and green juice, though no shade, I love yoga pants and green juice. There's just more to it. Embodiment is the practice of being where you are, physically, emotionally, and sensorially. It's tuning back into the information that you've been ignoring. Think of your body as a best friend who stopped talking to you because you kept interrupting. Embodiment is the apology text. It's saying, hey, I'm ready to listen now. I might not understand everything you're saying, but I'm here. Let's pause on the word listen because this is where things get spicy. Most of us don't want to listen to our bodies. We want to control them. We want to outsmart biology, outrun grief, outorganize our emotions. We treat discomfort like a customer service issue. Like, excuse me, I did not order anxiety today. But control is the opposite of connection. You can't bully your way into peace. You can only breathe your way there. The irony, the more we try to control the body, the more chaotic it becomes. You restrict food, your metabolism panics. You overwork, your immune system rebels. You suppress emotions, your nervous system takes notes and adds them to the to explode later file. Embodiment asks us to flip the script, to move from management to relationship. Because you can't heal something you refuse to be in a relationship with. But here's where it gets poetic. Your body is a living autobiography. Every scar, stretch mark, ache, posture pattern, it's all a sentence in the story of you. But instead of reading that story, we critique the font. We obsess over aesthetics while ignoring the narrative. We chase after wellness as if it's something we can purchase in 30-day increments. Meanwhile, our bodies are whispering entire novels of wisdom if we just stop editing for perfection. That shoulder tension, maybe it's not bad posture. Maybe it's all the shoulds you've been carrying. That gut discomfort, maybe it's not just dairy. Maybe it's your intuition trying to flag an emotional food poisoning situation. And that constant exhaustion, maybe it's not a sleep problem. Maybe it's the cost of pretending. I know the self help world loves this phrase, but let's unpack it. Mind over matter, cute slogan, terrible science. Your body is matter and your mind matters. You can't pit them against each other and call it growth. Every thought you have has a biological echo. Stress changes hormones, and gratitude rewires pathways. Your body is constantly eavesdropping on your inner dialogue. So if your self talk sounds like a toxic workplace, guess who's filing an HR complaint? Your nervous system. All right, well, now we need to bring a little humor back into this process because healing is messy, weird, and sometimes outright absurd. Like how you can be crying one minute, laughing the next, and then all of a sudden hungry out of nowhere. That's embodiment too. It's not linear, it's like jazz. You start tuning in and suddenly realize your body's been trying to do its job this whole time. You just haven't been answering the call. So instead of making this spiritual or clinical, can we make it relatable? Can we admit that embodiment sometimes looks like taking a nap, saying no, or realizing mid meeting that your jaw's been auditioning for a steel trap role? It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be practiced. Here's the thing: embodied people make disembodied systems uncomfortable. Because when you start listening to your body, you become harder to exploit. You rest when you need rest. You eat when you're hungry. And you refuse to grind yourself down for approval. And that is radical. It threatens the entire economy of burnout, the one that profits from your disconnection. Because a person who's present, rested, and self aware doesn't overconsume. They don't buy as much, hustle as hard, or over apologize. So, yeah, embodiment is a little rebellious. It's you saying, my worth isn't up for external negotiation. Take a second. Seriously, can you feel your feet, your breath, your heartbeat, even faintly? If that question made you roll your eyes, congratulations, you're still here. That's awareness. If it made you realize you've been holding your breath since 2020, welcome back. This isn't about doing it right. It's about remembering you can. We think we're afraid of failure, rejection, or loss, but most of us are actually afraid of feeling. Because once you're back in your body, you can't unfeel the truth. You can't numb selectively. If you shut down pain, you mute joy too. Embodiment means facing the whole playlist: the sad songs, the dance tracks, the ones that make you ugly cry in traffic. It's vulnerability on surround sound. And that can be terrifying if you've built an identity around being fine. But here's the paradox: the thing we're most afraid to feel is the very thing that frees us once we do. When you do finally start coming home, the body doesn't hold a grudge. It doesn't say, oh, now you show up. It just sighs in relief, like finally, she's back. You'll notice your breath deepen, your shoulders drop, your sleep improve, not because you hacked your routine, but because you stopped fighting yourself. That's the doorway we're walking through today, from managing life to inhabiting it. Next, we're going to talk about what coming home actually feels like, how embodiment shows up in the day to day moments that don't make it onto Instagram. Because, spoiler alert, this isn't all breathwork and bliss. Sometimes coming home to your body means realizing the furniture's been rearranged while you were gone. And we'll get into that: boundaries, rest, and all in just a minute. All right, so we've established that most of us have been living in the suburbs of our own skin. Close enough to commute for emergencies, definitely not paying rent. Now it's time to move back in. And listen, it's gonna be a little awkward at first. Re-inhabiting your body can feel like coming home after college to find your childhood room turned into your mom's new yoga studio. You know it's technically still yours, but it smells like lavender and boundaries. Sometimes walking back into your body can be daunting. Sometimes we need to take it step by step. Let's do just that. Step one, stop treating your body like a to-do list. We treat our bodies like projects. Fix posture, tone abs, hydrate more, stop stress eating pretzels the size of your hand. But the body isn't a checklist, it's a conversation. You wouldn't walk into a friend's house and immediately start reorganizing their furniture. You'd say hi, maybe ask how they've been. Coming home to the body starts with curiosity, not correction. It's noticing, oh, hey, shoulders, didn't realize you were trying to hold up the entire world. My bad. It's realizing your jaw has been auditioning for a diamond cutting job since 2016 and realizing maybe it deserves a raise and a vacation. Step two, listening is a full contact sport. Real listening means staying present even when what you hear isn't convenient. Your body says, we're tired. You say, we have deadlines. Your body says, we need water. You say, we need coffee. Your body says, we need rest. You say, we'll deal with that after the Zoom meeting, 3 errands, and 1 identity crisis. Coming home means actually following through on the answers you get. If the signal is rest, you rest. If the signal is food, you eat something that grew on planet Earth. If the signal is please stretch, you stop pretending that you don't have 5 minutes. It's the radical obedience to your own wisdom. As mentioned, embodiment isn't always comfortable. Sometimes the first thing you feel when you come home is the mess you left behind. The dust of neglected emotions, the clutter of chronic tension, that weird smell might just be unresolved grief. When people say the body keeps the score, this is what they mean, that it's not punishing you, but it's just honest. And honesty can sting. You'll feel aches you didn't know were there. You'll notice fatigue that's been camouflaged under caffeine. But that doesn't mean that something is wrong. It means that something is real. If healing had a slogan, it would be, congratulations, you can feel again. Step three, use the 5 senses like a GPS. Presence lives in the senses. You can't think your way into your body. You have to sense your way in. So when you start drifting back into overthinking territory, use your 5 built-in anchors. Number 1, sight. Notice color, light, shadow, not just the aesthetic, but the life of it. Number 2, sound. Tune into hums, whistles, breaths, the soundtrack of being alive. Number 3, smell, the memory machine. It drops you into the now faster than any meditation app. Number 4, taste. Let that first sip of water taste like the first sip of life. Number 5, touch. Textures, temperatures, the way fabric brushes skin. The senses are the doorway. The mind is the doorman. Step 4, boundaries begin in the body. Remember that promise that we'd weave boundaries in? Here's where that takes us. Boundaries aren't intellectual, they're physiological. You feel them first. Ever walk into a room and instantly feel tension? Or talk to someone and your stomach flips, even though your mouth is smiling? That's your boundary system lighting up the dashboard. The problem is, most of us override these sensations because we're taught to be nice. Nice gets you gold stars. Boundaries get you peace. Be kind, not nice. There's a difference. Guess which one your nervous system actually wants. Next time you're about to say yes out of obligation, pause. Check your body's vote. If your chest tightens or your gut twists, that's data, not drama. Your body isn't trying to ruin relationships, it's trying to prevent resentment. It's the world's most accurate lie detector, and it's free of charge. Let's get a little practical. Here's an exercise I call the physical no. Next time you're tempted to overcommit, do this. Take one breath in through your nose. As you exhale, imagine pushing air down through your feet like you're planting roots. Ask yourself, do I have room for this? If your shoulders lift, your throat tightens, or your breath shortens, the answer is no. Congratulations, you just located a boundary. With zero spreadsheets, therapy bills, or passive aggressive texts required. Step 5. Rest isn't a reward. Last week we touched on rest as ritual. We're going to visit that ritual again. Here comes the 10% rest portion, the one we love to skip. We treat rest like dessert. You only get it if you've been good. But rest isn't conditional, it's constitutional. It's the body's baseline maintenance plan, not a luxury add on. Your cells regenerate while you sleep. Your brain literally takes out its own metabolic trash. When you skip rest, you're hoarding garbage. No wonder everything feels heavy. Embodiment means resting before collapse. It's catching the whisper of fatigue instead of waiting for the scream of burnout. Sometimes it means laying down while the to-do list is still mocking you from across the room. Sometimes it means logging off when the internet insists that productivity equals worth. Here's a radical thought. What if the most productive thing you did today was nothing? Pro tip. Whenever a friend asks me, what did you do on Tuesday? Instead of saying nothing, I will literally say I let my body rest and reset. And instead of coming from a place of, oh my gosh, I sound boring, or oh, what if they judge me for rotting? That's what the kids are calling it these days, isn't it? I automatically reframe my own mind to think along the lines of when I rest and take space to do so, I'm honoring my body and actively listening to my own needs. 10 out of 10 times, people are understanding and sometimes even a little envious. No judgment to be found anywhere. Step 6. Movement as conversation. Embodiment isn't just stillness, it's motion with meaning. Move how your body wants to, not how your fitness tracker shames you to. Dance in the kitchen. Stretch like a cat. Walk without your phone. Let movement be dialogue, not discipline. When you move for your body instead of against it, every step says, I'm listening. Okay, but can we talk about how absurd this process is sometimes? Like, you start meditating on your breath and suddenly you remember something embarrassing you said back in 2009. Or you go to stretch and accidentally pull an emotional muscle called unprocessed trauma. It's fine, totally fine. 10 out of 10 would recommend feeling awkward again. The body has receipts, and it's going to show them, but it also has punchlines. Sometimes healing looks like laughing so hard your ribs remind you that they're there. Step 7. Trusting the small signals. When you're new to embodiment, you'll doubt every signal. You may question, am I tired or lazy, hungry or emotional? setting boundaries, or being dramatic. And that's okay. Learning your body's language takes time. At first, it sounds like static. Eventually, it becomes that symphony. Start small. Notice hunger before you're starving, tension before pain, irritation before rage. That's early stage fluency. One day, you'll catch a whisper and go, "Oh, I know what that means," and choose differently. That's mastery. Communication with your body at its finest. Step 8, the nervous system reset button. Let's talk regulation for a sec. The body's built in Wi Fi router. When you're stressed, your nervous system goes offline. Breath is how you reconnect. Try this micro practice. Inhale through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for 4. Exhale through your mouth for 6. Do that twice. You just told your vagus nerve we're safe. And when the body feels safe, the mind finally shuts up. Step 9, from body awareness to body trust. Awareness is noticing you're tired. Trust is actually going to bed. Awareness is realizing you're full. Trust is not finishing your plate out of politeness. Awareness is hearing that gut feeling. Trust is honoring it even when it's inconvenient. Coming home isn't just moving back in, it's signing the lease, paying attention, and promising not to sublet your peace again. Embodiment changes everything. Because once you trust your body, life stops feeling like a negotiation. Decisions get easier. Relationships get clearer. You stop outsourcing wisdom to people who don't even live in your skin. It's not that problems disappear, it's that you stop abandoning yourself to solve them. You start realizing boundaries aren't selfish, they're sanitary. Feeling isn't weakness, it's feedback. That's embodiment in real time. If you remember nothing else, try this once a day. Pause whatever you're doing. Place a hand somewhere that feels neutral, chest, belly, thigh. Take one real breath. Ask, what's here right now? Don't fix it, just notice. That's it. 60 seconds. No crystals required. Every time you do that, you're voting for presence over autopilot. And those votes add up. And finally, step 10, the body as home, not just habitat. Your body isn't an Airbnb for your spirit, it's home. It's the only place you get to live your entire life. Sure, you can renovate, decorate, upgrade habits, but at the end of the day, this is it. It's the most sacred real estate you'll ever occupy. So maybe say thank you once in a while. Thank you for healing cuts, carrying groceries, laughing until we cried. Thank you for being patient while I learned to come back. All right, we've unpacked the boxes, lit the metaphorical candle, and moved back in. Next, we'll talk about how to actually keep the house in order, how embodiment naturally extends into boundaries in motion, the way we protect our energy, hold our peace, and keep our nervous systems from turning into 24-hour customer service hotlines. Grab a refill of whatever you're sipping, We're about to make boundaries sound less like barbed wire and more like architecture for freedom. So, we've talked about embodiment as coming home to the body, reclaiming your seat at your own table, your presence, your peace. But once you're home, you realize, oh, I need a lock on the door. Not to keep life out, but to keep myself in. Because here's the truth no one tells you: coming home is only half the journey. Staying home, that's the real art. Let's start by clearing the biggest myth. Boundaries aren't about rejection, they're actually about design. You wouldn't build a house without walls, right? Otherwise, every passing stranger would be in your kitchen making sandwiches. Yet emotionally, we do that all the time. We let anyone and anything in, rearrange our energy, leave dishes in the sink, and then wonder why we're exhausted. A healthy boundary isn't barbed wire, it's blueprint. It tells the world, this is where I end and you begin. But look, here's a beautiful door. You're welcome to knock. Boundaries give your love somewhere to live. Imagine your energy kind of as plumbing. Leaks don't seem like a big deal. A drip here, a drip there. But give it a month, and suddenly your entire basement is flooded with resentment. That's what happens when you keep saying yes when you mean no. When you answer those texts that drain you. When you keep giving to people who only show up with empty cups. Your energy starts pooling in all of the wrong places. Embodiment lets you feel the leaks sooner. That tightness in your chest before you respond, that's the emotional equivalent of a pipe rattling in the walls. That lump in your throat, pressure buildup. That sudden headache, you've reached maximum capacity. Your body doesn't need you to overanalyze the leak. It needs you to grab a wrench called no. Let's talk about that word for a second. No. So tiny, so terrifying. It's two letters and a lifetime of guilt. But no is not the opposite of love. It's the boundary that makes love sustainable. Without it, generosity curdles into obligation, and compassion burns itself out. A well placed no is self respect in motion. It's not a shutdown, it's recalibration. It says, I'm not rejecting you, I'm protecting me. And here's the kicker: people that truly love you will adjust. They might flinch at first, but real love expands to fit your wholeness. Fake love shrinks when it can't use your compliance. Every no you say teaches the world how to meet the real you. And your nervous system knows. The body always registers truth first. When you violate your own boundary, your nervous system feels it before your brain does. It's that jolt of irritation after agreeing to something you didn't want to do in the first place. That deep sigh you can't explain. That invisible weight pressing down on your ribs like a bad secret. The body doesn't lie. When you honor your limits, you regulate naturally. When you ignore them, you live in a constant low grade panic you call just being busy. Embodiment turns boundaries from abstract ideas into physical feedback loops. You no longer need to debate your worthiness of saying no. Your body's already tallied the vote. Let's talk about the nice epidemic. Being nice is adorable. Being kind is powerful. But there's a difference. Nice says, I'll make myself small so you're comfortable. Kind says, I'll meet you with empathy, but I won't abandon myself to do it. We were socialized to equate nice with safety, especially women. We learned that being agreeable gets you approval, but approval doesn't keep you warm at night. Peace does. So here's your permission slip. You can be loving and assertive, gentle and grounded, empathetic and unavailable for nonsense. Duality is divine. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you repair a little thread of trust. And boundaries are simply promises enforced by action. It's easy to talk self love until the moment it inconveniences someone else. That's where it becomes real. Because love without boundaries isn't love, it's leakage. Boundaries teach people how to love the sustainable version of you, not the sacrificial one. And the more you embody that, the less defensive you become. Your no stops sounding like rebellion and starts sounding like rhythm. Let's talk about why boundaries feel so hard. Because they trigger every old wound tied to belonging. When you set one, your nervous system whispers, if I say no, will they still love me? But here's the reality. If love requires self-abandonment, it's not love. It's a transaction. Embodiment gives you the courage to stay in your body through the discomfort, to breathe through the shaking voice, the sweaty palms, the guilt that used to win every time, to say no and survive it. And when you realize you're still loved, still whole, still standing, that's liberation. So now, we've circled back to where we began. Health isn't divided. The mind and the body are teammates, and embodiment is how we keep them talking. Boundaries and rest are just the practical side of that. The day-to-day rituals that keep the system stable. This is where life in motion always comes full circle. Not by giving you a to-do list, but by giving you permission. Permission to feel. Permission to pause. Permission to stop performing presence and actually live it. Because life isn't meant to be mastered. It's meant to be inhabited. And the more you inhabit it, the more everything else falls in alignment. Love, purpose, health, all of it. Not just because you chased balance, but because you stopped running from yourself. The thought, embodiment, reclaiming your body as home. It's a beautiful idea, right? But let's be honest, it's also a lifelong practice. Coming home isn't one grand gesture. It's 1,000 tiny reunions. Every time you unclench your jaw, you come home. Every time you stretch instead of scroll, you come home. Every time you say no without apology, you come home. Every time you rest without guilt, you come home. Homecoming isn't glamorous, it's sacred repetition. The slow rebuilding of trust between your soul and your skin. When you finally settle back into yourself, something incredible happens. Life starts tasting richer. Colors get louder. Laughter hits deeper. You stop chasing the next thing because you realize it's all happening here. Presence isn't a performance, it's a pulse. It's the quiet heartbeat under everything. And once you can feel that again, even the hard days feel less like punishment and more like participation. Like you're in it now, fully. If your body could talk, really talk, it might say something like this: I've missed you. I've carried your stories, your heartbreaks, your late nights and silent tears. And through it all, I've never stopped fighting for you. And you don't have to earn me back. Just notice me. And I promise I'll meet you halfway. That's embodiment, the reunion after a long absence. Because when you come home to yourself, you show up differently for everything else, for others, for the planet, for life itself. You listen differently, you love differently, you lead differently. You realize the earth has a body too, one that's tired, beautiful, and trying to heal. And maybe, just maybe, our job as humans is to learn to treat both our bodies and hers with the same reverence. To remember that wholeness was never lost. It was just waiting for us to notice. So, before you go back to your day, do one thing: take a breath, a real one. The kind that makes your shoulders drop half an inch and your jaw finally forgive you. You feel that? That's life. That's motion. That's you coming home again and again. Welcome back. And hey, if this episode resonated with you, if it made you breathe a little deeper or notice yourself a little more, do me a favor and really do yourself a favor too. Like it, share it, and make sure you're subscribed. Not because the algorithm needs another hug, but because it tells me that these conversations matter, that they're landing where they're meant to land. I'd also love to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me what part of today's episode hit home for you. Where in your life do you feel an opportunity to meet yourself again? Maybe it's rest. Maybe it's saying no. Maybe it's finally taking that deep breath you've been postponing. Whichever it is, your reflection might be the exact spark someone else needs to start their own homecoming. Every click, every comment, every share helps this community grow. Not for numbers, but for connection. Because the more of us who remember how to come home to ourselves, the more this world starts to feel like home too. Thank you for spending time with me, for showing up for you. I'm Amy, and this has been Life in Motion, where we breathe a little deeper, love a little louder, and keep our hearts and our humanity always in motion. Until next time, stay grounded, stay kind, stay in motion.